Oh no!
It's just for the video.
Just the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more important
Okay,
for
do
post
the
show.
hand things again.
Right. Yeah,
Do all the
everyone
hand
do
stuff.
this stuff again. A lot of this before this happened. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, let's move on to step number 3. So if all of that doesn't work, step number 3 is to bring her before the church. And this is serious because this is your community. This is everyone. This isn't. It's gone from very private to semi-private to now everyone knows that you're a frigid hoe.
You're a slut that won't open her goddamn legs.
You don't put out. That's it.
That's right, and that's a big deal. So he writes. I assume it's a he. There's no name, so I don't know. It could be.
It's anonymous guy.
All right. If she will not listen, if she will not listen to counselors or refuses to go to counseling, then bring her to your pastor and his wife. Okay. If she will not listen even to them, then she has chosen to act like an unbeliever. It's like, whoa, dude, how did we get pulled into this? How did we get pulled into your marital problems? I mean...
Just because she doesn't want to have sex with you doesn't make her an atheist. There's a whole thought process that goes behind that.
My wife won't sleep with me. Those damn atheists.
Thanks, Richard Dawkins.
Infiltrating the system, you know? Not getting all up in there. That's what that's going on.
Even worse. So he says that she has chosen to act like an unbeliever, and now she will be treated as such. Whoa.
So don't they kill people for that?
Exactly.
Right?
It's like stoning time right there. In front of everybody. That's what they do. They drag you out in front of everybody, and then they stone you to death.
That's how you do. Okay. So if that doesn't work, now we pull out the big guns. Step number 4 is stop taking her on dates and trips. Stop taking your wife to her favorite restaurants.
Start being super passive aggressive.
I just want to point out that if you're married and your wife isn't putting out, maybe this step was the first problem. Like, well, when's the last time you took her out? When's the last time you paid attention to her? Took her on a vacation.
Well, she wasn't putting out, so I didn't take her anywhere. Come on.
You gotta earn that shit.
Dude, really?
Come on, ho.
Marriage is just a different form of prostitution, man.
If I'm paying and I'm not getting any play. God. So stop taking her out to those movies she wants to see. Don't take her on those weekend getaways she wants to go on. I am not saying to stop talking to your wife or ignore your wife, as that is not an option for a Christian husband. But your wife does not have the right for you to take her on dates or trips. These things are a privilege that you may remove at any time. This sounds like you're talking about an 11-year-old that you're grounding.
So sad. Like a privilege, really, to go out to dinner?
Well, I mean, they do think of their wives as, subpar individuals. So at a point, they own them. Like, you kind of...
Well, yes, for sure. They will tell you that they're equal, that they're humans just like everyone else, but they are property. Biblically.
They're imperfect, and they need guidance from their male master to become better people in the eyes of the Lord and everything. I mean, that's part of the whole thing. So.
Well, the entire premise of this article is that the wife is doing something wrong because she doesn't want to sleep with him whenever he wants. So, I mean, that to your point.
All right. So step number 5 is no unnecessary household upgrades.
Because you were thinking about painting the whole kitchen. Guess what? Not gonna happen.
Sounds like this guy just doesn't want to do housework anymore. It's like, my wife hasn't sucked my dick in a while. I ain't gonna do any yard work anymore. Deal with it.
You see that grass? It's full of mosquitoes. You got that. It's your fault. Like, what? It doesn't even make sense.
Does anyone know what percentage of women are in the workforce?
I am. That's 1 for 1 in the room.
That's 100% right here.
Yep.
I'm trying to look it up because
Actually, the other 2 women in here are also employed. That's 100% right
That's
there.
3 for 3.
Yeah. Oh, well, the little one's unemployed, but she's in school, whatever. But
she's in school. She's doing stuff.
It's kind of like
she's getting shit done.
Sort of an employment of...
I don't know. I just feel like, the big thing about this article is that it routinely assumes that women are sitting at home waiting for Jim Bob to come home and take them to a movie or a restaurant. and while he's busy at work, and I'm pretty sure most women are.
Well,
working.
if you read more articles on his website, that's
and I'm not.
well, I took the liberty of reading some. I mean, he has like a 5-part series on why he likes polygamy. I mean, so come on, like not like polygamy where it's like all everybody like let's all get, but like one dude and 50 women or whatever. But like I mean, so he has other articles where he's in there. It's like women should stay home, and there are legitimate reasons why women should have to go into the workforce. But even if it is too bad, it's still sin. So I mean, this guy definitely believes that his wife is at home waiting for him.
Kill Humanati in the chat room says that the next step is to make her wear a Dick D's t-shirt. I think that falls under rebuke her in front of others. Oh, our chat room is so awful.
According to this author, technically his wife should be at home waiting for him to please her in
Just
some way.
ready, yeah.
All right. So, no buying new appliances for her to use in the kitchen, that sort of thing. Step number 6 is stop doing the little extra things. And this is the thing to me where I'm just like, this motherfucker is not doing any of this crap. Step number 6, just skip over. It's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. It says, those dinners you cook, whatever. Or that vacuuming you do, whatever. No.
Not this guy. Not this guy.
Not this guy.
Men barbecue, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's hard work, right? It was like, come on.
Hey, that is hard work.
Artie does amazing barbecue. So.
I can barbecue. No, but still, that's where he's like trying to go at to where it's like, oh, I do these things for
the
you
last
because
time we
you
all
want.
had barbecue at our house, we all got sick. So I'm just saying.
Here's the
Oh,
thing.
did you really?
Here's the thing. He says that these are things that she should really be doing for herself, but you have simply been trying to be nice and doing for her.
Because this guy is so nice.
I love the way you put stop in all caps.
Yes.
Doing them. So
Stop
it's like, he's
doing
serious
them.
when you put it in all caps
And
right
this is
there.
what, step 7 or 6? What is it? 6. It's weird that this is like step 6, so not like one of the first things he would have done. Like the rebuke and all the rest. It seems like you would start with this and then eventually get to the rebuke part.
He did mention you could start doing these things while you're doing those other things. That's totally cool, by the way, if you were reading an article.
Oh, so you don't have to follow them in order.
No.
It's
You
just
could totally like jumble them all up and just go
mix and
hard.
match,
Yep.
have fun with it.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. So step 7 is to remove her funding. And again, this is like, who has a relationship like this?
She may have an Etsy page or something where she makes, I don't know, mittens or something. I
Okay.
mean,
Not everybody's Kickstarter is really
All right,
worthy.
now, he is a little realistic about this because he says this step may only work if your wife does not have her own income. So he recognizes that you can't take her money from her.
Who really only has a one-income household in 2015?
Very
really?
few. Very few.
Really, it doesn't happen.
Killuminati in the chat room says, I guess 57%.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Really?
57% of women are in the workforce, which seems low to me. But
Yeah.
I guess if you factor in single parent households, I don't know. I don't know what the
Yeah, I don't know where he got the number or anything. It just
and then I
says
wonder what percentage
57%.
of those people are in a biblical marriage.
Right.
Nah.
Yeah. Probably very few. Although
Yeah.
I gotta say, when I was living in Rolla, Missouri, I had neighbors who were very nice. I'm sure they're not listening to this, but you were very nice. But we went over for dinner one night, and his wife announced to us, "Oh, we're trying to have a biblical marriage now," and like it was just my wife and I just looked. It was just silence, like.
Which Bible are you using?
That's interesting. Are you going to stone us to death now?
That seems like a really bad idea. What was great though is that like you could see the wheels turning behind her eyes. Like this is a bad idea, isn't it?
she probably mentioned to it like when he brought up the idea. She's just like, I don't know about that. We should probably ask our friends about it and see what they think. And she's like,
They seem like nice people. Let's talk to
see?
them.
All right. So step 7 is remove her funding. They talk about if it's credit in her name, stop paying for it. If change your bank account so she can't use her debit card.
Like she could get credit in her own name. Come on.
What bank gives women credit accounts?
Come on.
So it specifically says that the Bible only requires that you provide her with food, clothing, and shelter. It does not say that the food, clothing, and shelter have to be good. So
There's a doghouse out there with your
There's a
name on
shed.
it. Whore.
no, until you're a whore.
Unwhore.
Step 8 was really interesting to me because it didn't go where I thought it was going to go. Step 8 is you have the option to divorce her for her sexual immorality. So apparently, not putting out for your sweaty, greasy, misogynist husband is immoral.
Well, and apparently this guy's been divorced before, so my assumption is that his first divorce happened under these circumstances. I don't know, though.
So he uses Matthew 5:32 to justify this, which says, "But I tell you, everyone who divorces his wife, except in the case of sexual immorality, causes her to commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery." So you're totally good if your wife's not putting out with God.
Can
God,
you divorce somebody biblically if they end up being a serial killer and you didn't know, or do you have to stay married to that person?
No, it says it's just sexual immorality.
Oh, there's not some other line somewhere
Nope,
else in the
there's
Bible
not-
that makes exceptions.
That's it.
It's really weird. Do you think there'd be other things oh, and also if she eats people, you can also divorce her.
Just say it's babies.
Here's what's going through my head is, honey, can you bring Susie home from the office and we're going to, and then when you're done, then you're like, oh, and we're getting a divorce because that was immoral.
By the way.
What up? I saw you and I'm telling the pastor.
I got pictures.
Many, many, many pictures. Corpus Christi Atheist meets every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. This weekend we'll be meeting at B&J's Pizza, which is just east of Airline on SPID. If you don't know where that is, visit ccatheists.com for a list of our public events. If you're interested in connecting with our affiliates, we have groups all the way from Rockport down to Brownsville on the border with Mexico. So wherever you are in South Texas, you got options, man.
You got a friend in us.
All right, so our next segment is going to be 10 Minutes of Poe again. This will be our third installment of this. For the next however many minutes, it may be 10, it may be less, it may be more. For an indeterminate amount of time, I'm going to argue for the existence of God. And
I don't like this.
Yeah, well.
I enjoy these parts. This will be the first one I've been here for. Though,
Oh, good.
so.
Yeah,
Good,
I
good.
haven't been here yet
Well,
either.
and I have.
So I've been thinking about my one for next week that I'm going to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. All right, cool.
Game on.
So I've dialed it down to easy mode for you because I knew Reb was going to be here.
Oh.
No, it's because I was on last week and I still don't understand the question.
That was a very confusing. Even I was listening, it's I don't know if Christian's arguing that right.
All right. So I'm not even going to justify your ridiculous atheism with evidence from my God. Because you're just going to hand wave that crap away with your tricky atheist tricks.
Fancy facts.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not worth my time as a godly man. I've got problems at home with my wife, and I'm rebuking her publicly in a little bit.
Is she not putting out?
I'm a little freaked out that you seem to be doing. You seem to be consorting with demons and telling prophecies and whatnot. So I'm just going to tell you why it's in your best interest to believe in my God. If you're right, and there is no God, we all go to the same place. Same thing happens to all of us. If I'm right and there is a God, then I'm going to spend an eternity in paradise. And you guys are going to be tortured forever for being so short-sighted and stupid.
Boy, he threw us a softball this week.
Come at me, bro.
Well, first I would ask, if you're not going to listen to my reasons for being atheist, why should I listen to your reasons for being a Christian?
Because your eternal soul hangs in the balance, Reb.
The rest of your life hangs in the balance.
So
You
what
could
is-
be
I'm
wasting it all.
living the rest of my life, and as soon as I get rid of my sexually immoral wife, it's gonna be full of all kinds of weird sex at home.
So what does your soul look like?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think it's a relevant question.
It's like a clear form of his
But
current
see,
state.
if yours is cool and mine isn't, what does yours look like?
No, it's a matter of where your consciousness ends up. My consciousness will be one with God. You will suffer eternally a separation from God. And why would you want to take that chance?
Because it's not real.
But it could be. You don't know that. Can you prove that there's no God?
Can you?
No, because there is a God. I've just told you that.
Oh, because of the books?
I'm not even going there with your atheist tricky tricks. I seem like I've stumped all of you.
Okay, so Mr. Pascal, if I believe in your God, because I'm really, you know what, you make a good point in that.
Thank you.
It doesn't hurt me at all.
Yeah.
If if I'm wrong, what's the big deal? Now, what if you were wrong too, and the God I was supposed to believe in was Zeus?
Well, that's a very real possibility. I will grant you that. I know.
You think that?
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Let me talk, you atheist whore. That's a very real possibility. I know through faith that is not true. I know through faith that my God is real and that you are putting your eternal soul into jeopardy by rejecting him. However, you can't win. I can win. If there's a God, and that's a 50-50 shot. Yes, God, no God. 50-50 shot. If there is a God, I have a ticket in that lottery. You have none. You can't win that at all. You're not even playing the game.
You think you have a chance to win. However,
I know I do.
I believe that you are a guaranteed loser if you start living your life for the 1 in a zillion chance of a reward and in any way sacrifice the way you live your life on this planet. So if you do one thing that in your heart you think is doing something wrong to someone or not doing the right thing, because your book, the one that you are really, really sure is right,
I am sure,
tells you so, and you're wrong, then you screwed up your life and somebody else's life and hurt somebody else or hurt yourself.
That's ridiculous because I will tell you as a Christian, I am very happy with my life. My family is happy. We have a cohesive family unit, and we are secure in our salvation with the Lord.
I think it's really cute that you called it a game.
Well, actually, I was going to speak to that. You seem like a highly logical person. And if you're familiar with game theory, in this particular case, since we can't know for sure 100% which hell is the one that we might go to, we can only know through faith. It would make more sense if you believed in the religion that has the worst hell, the one that's the most heinous, the most damning, the one that's the most painful. That would be the one to believe in. And the Christian hell, while bad, it's not the most worst one that you could believe in. So it would be better, probability-wise, for you to believe in the worst one, because it's not a 50-50% chance that you're right about God. It's actually a 1 in 1 billion chance that you're believing in the correct deity.
Okay. No, you're right. But first of all, it's a 50-50 chance whether I'm playing the game to win or not. You guys are not playing the game to win. You can't win the game at all. You lose under every circumstance. I may have, as you suggest, a very low chance of winning that game, but I can still win. You guys cannot, under any circumstances, win. And let me just also say this. Through my faith, I know that I'm right. I know that Jesus is going to save me from the pits.
Well, and here's the other part of the game theory coming at it from a different angle. Since we can't know what happens after we die, and while you have faith that it might be true, every other religion has also their faith and their version of it as well.
Sure.
Since the only thing we do
infidels believe all kinds of nonsense.
But the only thing we do know for sure, for a fact, that doesn't need faith is that we are alive right now in this world that we live in, and that we should make the most of it in the capacity that we can here before we die.
And how am I not doing that?
And if you feel happy in what you're doing as a Christian, that's fine, as long as you're not hurting other people.
And so,
you can do that. And we as atheists can live our lives as long as we're not hurting other people and we're happy. Then you should be able to do that.
You have every right in this country to believe or to not believe, any stupid crap you want to.
So
Let me finish. I am playing the game. It's like the lottery. You're probably not going to win the lottery, but if you buy a ticket, you're definitely not.
But I think I already am playing the game, because the lottery ticket you're buying is your life right now and living it to its fullest potential. If you feel you're living your life to its fullest potential as a Christian, then hooray for you. I have no problem with that.
And I'm playing
But I am also playing the lottery of life and trying to make the best of what we have with the evidence that we have. And the evidence right now leads me to believe that there is no heavenly being whatsoever, and thus I am living my life to the best potential it can have to the point where I die.
You are defining winning a game with the only reward being something that's not on the game board. If you're playing Monopoly, the winning piece isn't there, and you're just saying, no, it's there. That's the game you have to play to try to win to get that.
why hasn't God convinced me that that's the right game to play?
Because you have turned your back on him. And
Why?
you have hardened your heart against him, just the way Pharaoh...
Is it the wolves in sheep's clothing?
No, it's
Actually-
because you are rebellious
Actually-
against his divine law.
Actually, God hardened the
Yeah,
Pharaoh's
I know.
heart.
You're
not
right.
the-
You're right. It's
No.
all right. God did that. Yeah, you're right.
But if God can harden one person's heart, couldn't he open mine as well?
That is up to you. He gave you free will. So,
But
you can-
he's
you can-
also able to take free will away. He's done that to the Pharaoh.
That's true. And I gotta say, God works in mysterious ways.
Exactly. And why won't he work in mysterious ways in my life? Because if he worked in mysterious ways to bring other people like yourself to the faith, why can't he do that for me? And why hasn't he done it for all other atheists?
God works in mysterious ways. I can't tell you why God does the things that he does. All I can tell you is God is real. I know this through my faith. And you cannot win the afterlife because you're not even trying.
So what do you think about the Vikings building temples to elves now?
I don't
Do you
want to
believe
talk about them.
you
because
don't believe in that?
No,
Why
that's
is your God right?
dark-sided. That's dark-sided.
But you can't deny that there are people that do that.
They're now building temples for elves.
It's not okay.
Why is it not okay?
Because clearly in the Bible, God says you will have no gods before me, and you will have not create graven images. This is behavior that is against God.
No, it sounds like what the Muslims believe too, right?
There's several.
Well, sure, they
different
believe in the same God.
Yeah.
They just don't accept Jesus, and that's why they're
Does
going
he
to
look
hell.
the same?
They're all going to hell.
But they believe in Jesus.
But does he look the same?
You're telling me to believe in your God in the one in whatever huge number chance that you are right.
Right?
Won't God know that I'm only believing in him for the chance that you're right and that I don't actually believe, but
No.
I'm just making a bet and hoping that I win?
Sure, but that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says all you have to do is accept Jesus. He doesn't say you have to, accept Jesus without doubt. Because the Bible also says if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. I don't see a lot of people moving mountains. People have doubts. People are imperfect. That's why we need Jesus.
What if the elves' hell is worse than the hell you're thinking about?
Elves don't exist.
So
Get
why
out of
should-
here.
You think so?
So why shouldn't I become a Muslim then? Because
Because
their
they're
hell's a
wrong-
lot
they're
worse.
wrong.
And I could have just as much faith in that.
Because they're wrong.
But what if I had faith they were right?
Oh, I'm vanquished. You have used my faith against me. That's an interesting art. I think we're done here. But that's interesting because, and I think that's something we've talked to the people at Art Walk, the Christians who come up to talk to us at Art Walk, which is, I believe by faith. And it's like, well, why should we put more weight on your faith than the
Elves.
the Muslim who's coming up next, or the goddamn elf believer,
Viking
or whatever.
people or whatever.
I don't know who the hell you're talking about,
I
BD,
don't
but
know Neither do I, but I gotcha. I made you think about it for
Like,
half a second.
You keep saying elves, and I just keep saying the Keebler elves.
Exactly. They're fucking treacherous. You know what I mean? They're good in
no,
their...
I have no idea what you mean.
The Trexler made me drink.
Ustreamer 08090 says that if hell were as tangible as jail, there would be no sinners. I'm not sure I totally agree with that, but I think I mostly agree with that. I think that
Yeah.
I don't know, but
People-
jail isn't what keeps me from committing crimes, though. It's-
but I mean it
People-
does. I mean let me pose this to you. If you knew you were going to go to jail for life for biting your nails.
Yeah, I'd stop biting my nails. in that
Okay,
case.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not universal, and jail and even the death penalty are not great disincentives to commit crimes, obviously.
But you know, I might actually bite my nails like accidentally. You know, I mean, like,
or like
I
in
would
your bathroom.
I would make a conscious effort not to bite my nails, but it might actually still happen. You know, just accidentally. You know, I mean,
But really, if you bite your nails, who does it hurt?
yeah. Well, and that's why it's
Really?
not a crime.
And I
You know,
think,
that's the big
Yes,
deal. If you
you
bite
know,
your.
I think people don't actually believe that there's a hell. Even the most, okay, there is a percentage, but a lot of the religious people, they believe in all the good, but they don't actually think that there's a hell, because the things that they do that would send them to hell, they would never do if they actually thought, I'm going to hell for this.
Yeah. If people really, I mean, hell's a faraway concept. It's like, you know, lakes of fire. Yeah, that sounds painful, but you know, they don't really think about it in context of eternity, because none of us can really fathom in our minds eternity, and no one can really fathom that amount of pain in our minds, you know, for that amount of time. So I think it's, you know, it's a little far removed. I mean, we can imagine it would be pretty bad, probably worse than anything we could ever imagine, and you would think that would be enough incentive, but you know, obviously it's not, since you have a whole bunch of pastors on Grindr telling kids to kill themselves. So.
And they continue to cuddle and stuff. You know, it's no big deal.
All right, so let's move on to another story. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation is calling for the court-martial of Air Force Major General Craig Olson, calling him a radical fringe element and saying they want him to get a dishonorable discharge after he spoke in uniform at a National Day of Prayer event this month for about 20 minutes about his faith and the importance of prayer. Christian groups are calling his remarks entirely appropriate. What did you guys think about this issue?
I thought it was a little bit far-fetched for him to be like, I'm not capable of doing this without God. I'm not capable of, you know, taking these funds and doing something right with them. I'm not capable of leading these troops, kind of stuff, to where it's like, really? Then what the fuck are you doing
Yeah, that's
there?
what I
You're
thought.
supposed to be in charge of these people.
It's like, then why did they give you this job if
So
you have no
it-
qualifications for it?
To where that was kind of really scary. To where somebody that high in charge, I can understand, I guess, having a little bit of faith or whatever in the background. But you have to be able and competent to lead other human beings that probably don't believe what you believe into these situations.
I gotta say, I didn't think we were gonna jump into that quite so quickly.
Oh, that was the
but
worst part.
I know. I agree with you. That is the exact scariest part of everything this guy said. He spoke for about 20 minutes, and this was the most scary thing. I've got a clip we can play of him talking about this. This clip demonstrates that either he's a liar or the United States Air Force is the scariest goddamn thing on the planet, and we should all be very, very upset.
I still carry in this pocket my transcript from the Air Force Academy as Exhibit A in the court of law that you're not a gifted intellect. You have no real academic skills. It's proof right here. But something happened there at the Academy. I went to Bible studies because I was free to do that. I was free to go to Bible study. Someone invited me there. I learned about Christ. I was convicted. I was drawn to commit my life to Christ in April of 1979. And I realized that shortly that began the journey of learning to depend on someone besides myself. Let's stop depending on Craig and learn to depend on God. That just started at that point. God has been gracious enough and patient enough to give me countless other opportunities to learn greater dependence on him. You mentioned a couple of them as you're reading experiences, flying complex aircraft, doing complex nuclear missions. I had no ability to do that. God enabled me to do that. He put me in charge of failing programs worth billions of dollars. I have no ability to do that, no training to do that. God did that. He sent me to Iraq to negotiate foreign military sales deals through an Arabic interpreter. I have no ability to do that. I was not trained to do that. God did all of that.
What the hell does this guy do? What is he qualified to do? And why are we putting guys who are not qualified to do these things in charge of these things?
My thinking is that he may not have any formal education in these things, but I mean, he's made it all the way up the chain doing, you know, whatever it is he's done. He's probably gained work experience over time doing these kinds of things. And over time, they said like, "Hey, you'd probably be good at managing this program because it's similar to something else you did." And so then he went and did that. So
No. He had no training and no experience.
Well, he says that, but at the same time, like, what made him think that it was okay for him to lean that much on his faith, and that was the way to go with it? Let me take the speech and do that instead of all these things in my.
Well, so I guarantee you, they didn't pull him straight out of basic, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna make you go and resolve a conflict in the Middle East with a translator. You go for it, buddy."
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they did.
Alcoholico in the chat room, who is a former Marine, says, "Fuck up, move up."
Which is true, that does happen.
Well,
but
there are exceptions.
there are some people that move up and that are legitimate skill sets. But.
Peter principle: if you're good at something, you'll eventually be promoted into something that you are completely sucky at. And God can't help you. I'm sorry.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. My thought, like I said, that he had smaller projects he did well with, and he moved up and started managing other projects and did other things that contributed to his overall experience.
But to have that many God quotes in one speech, it's just like,
well, it was a national day of prayer. I mean, that's what he was kind of there to do.
It's one of those deals where you're like, oh, well, like, I'm so I can't do anything without the Lord. You know, one of those kind of religious complexes.
Have you ever?
All right, so let me read the summing up paragraph of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation's letter to his commanding officer. They wrote, quote, "Consequently, on behalf of itself and its over 41,000 active duty and veteran armed forces clients, the Military Religious Freedom Foundation hereby demands that Major General Craig S. Olson be immediately, aggressively, and very visibly brought to justice for his unforgivable crimes and transgressions via trial by general courts martial, and that any and all others who assisted him with his National Day of Prayer speech of fundamentalist Christian supremacy be likewise investigated and punished to the full extent of military law." Anyone have any thoughts about that?
I feel like they're going a little too far with the rhetoric.
It's quite, piled on and piled on and piled on to where it's kind of just lost. Like, what's going on?
It's like there is definitely an issue there. I don't think the guy should be, court-martialed for it. I mean, my issue chiefly is that, being in charge of a military organization, you're in charge of sending people of all faiths into combat situations, into these different high danger areas. And then to say like, oh, well, I'm a Christian and the only way you're going to make it through is if you pray to my God, if not, too bad, so sad. And that puts a bad, I don't know, worse than a vibe, but it's a culture around, everyone else there. It's like, oh, well, if I'm not a Christian, I'm not really, you're going to be able to perform like everyone else,
Yeah, and wasn't the Air Force the service that like last year like made them say under God or before God?
The Air Force has been fucking up for a long time.
It was the one that was like, no, you have to say it. You can't just skip over those lines.
Yeah, they reversed that, but that was them.
To where they were the ones trying to do that.
So U.S. Air Force Standard 2.12 reads, "Leaders at all levels must balance constitutional protections for their own free exercise of religion, including individual expressions of religious beliefs, and the constitutional prohibition against governmental establishment of religion. They must ensure their words and actions cannot reasonably be construed to be officially endorsing or disapproving of or extending preferential treatment for any faith, belief, or absence of belief." I think he violated that.
Yeah, I think he violated that. I don't know what the punishment for that should be.
Yeah, and there's probably something.
I'm sure have some sort of counseling training thing. Be like, hey, in the future, don't say that everything that you've ever done is only possible through.
He has First Amendment rights. He should be able to get up in front of this crowd and say say the stupid things that he said to this crowd. However, he should not be doing it as a general. He should not be doing it in uniform. I don't know that we need to, what did they say? I don't think these are unforgivable crimes.
See, when you come out with rhetoric like that, like nobody's going to take, even we're not taking that seriously.
And like, we kind of agree with you.
Yeah,
sort
we're
of,
like, no, you're right. Just take
dial it back a little bit.
Yeah, and that's my big thing. It's just that I feel like we already deal with this angry atheist stereotype. We already deal with people who call us militant for saying what we believe.
And this is in a
Yes.
military context, nonetheless.
Right, you have stern language and you want to be heard. Oh
So,
no.
I mean, I firmly believe that you should not trample on other people's activism. So, I mean,
But at the same time, it was like their established day of prayer where they get up and talk about their faith or whatever.
but
So-
that should not happen in this country. There should not be a national day of prayer that is freaking endorsed by the federal government, that is including the president of the United States and generals and everybody
if you
else.
have-
He's representing the country at the same
but if
time.
90,
That's unforgivable.
Yes.
but if like 95% of the country has some sort of prayer belief, I mean, doesn't it kind of?
No. We
You
have a
shouldn't do it in
separation of
uniform.
church and
Yeah.
we have a separation of church and state. And if most of the country has a prayer belief, or most of the country doesn't matter. We don't include religious activities in our public.
So should we have like a public moment of silence day?
That's fine. I'm fine with moments of silence because,
Public reflection day.
Which one would be that public? That'd be kind of cool.
every year at my place of work, which is a state institution, we have a Memorial Day where we get together and we acknowledge the people of our organization who have died in the past year. And this includes people who have retired from the institution.
Wow, you consider them dead to you? It's like they left. They're dead to me.
No. Like physically died.
You're an asshole.
Well, you said if they retired as well, right?
No. If they retired and then they
Oh,
died.
and then died later. Oh, I thought it was just like, oh, they just retired. Oh, never mind. Okay,
Never
sorry.
gonna
Son
be
of a bitch.
president.
You son of a bitch.
God damn it, Rev.
So, and we have a moment of silence. And I think that's wholly appropriate. And I appreciate that because it gives me a moment to reflect on
The work they did.
the people that I've worked with, the people that I've worked for. It gives me a moment to reflect on my own mortality. And that is non-denominational.
And healthy to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy thing to think about once in a while. And I appreciate that. So, yeah, I'd be totally in favor of a national moment of silence for whatever the fuck we're talking.
Yeah, whatever they were gonna do that day, we should just be quiet for a moment.
Yeah, but if you're telling everyone to shut up and don't talk, then you're going to be like, silencing religion.
Ustreamer
The
0487
bullying stuff, right?
Ustreamer 04871 in the chat room says that they use moments of silence on Facebook. And this is the only person who uses moments of silence on Facebook. Oh, no. I'm sorry. They use moments of silence to Facebook. I misread that. That's even more amazing. Moments of silence, they're Facebooking.
Everybody's got their head down,
And
and
that's
they've got their head down too.
just typing. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if you don't care to think about your own mortality, Facebook, it's all good. I think that is the best solution.
Unless you're in a low reception area, in which case, then you can play Tap Titans.
So get the
This guy.
go over to we'll explain that comment in the Facebook page,
post-show or
the
something.
Atheist Airwaves Facebook page. Go over there
It's
if
not
you want to
even
hear
worth post show.
Tap Titans. Get out of here. So here's the other thing that some people were bringing up about the story that I think is worth at least mentioning is that you have someone in the position of a major general in uniform talking about Christian religion being part of our armed forces and the impact that might have on Muslims and how they perceive our military and our military operations. And they've been talking about this as a national security problem. And
Well, I mean, that's exactly what ISIS is trying to push, is that
Yeah.
America is the Christian infidels, and they're coming to kill us, just like prophecy said it would, or whatever. And so, and every time they bomb us, look, the Christians are raining fire on us. It's not America. It's not Britain. It's not,
it's Jesus.
Yeah, it's Jesus. Yeah. Well, not Jesus. Well, I mean,
They believe in Jesus.
They believe in
So
Jesus.
It's Christian.
The Christians, yeah. So that other branch of Muslims that broke off from us.
Yeah.
I can't think of a more terrifying thought for a bunch of Muslims living in the Middle East than the thought of a Christian armies coming for us.
Which is quite sad, and it totally disrespects the secular members of the military force that have lost their lives and that are still serving today that just get ignored.
And Muslim members and, Jewish members and...
That it's just all this one.
Yeah, say like, oh, you're a Muslim. Oh, well, you're actually fighting for for Jesus and for God. And it's like you're not really fighting for your country. You're fighting for the Lord up on high.
God and country.
Yeah. We watched the show Generation Kill, which is the first recon Marines that go into Afghanistan or Iraq. I'm sorry, Iraq in 2003. And there's this great atheist scene in the whole series. This one part right before they go in, because there's a chaplain that comes in asking for whoever wants to participate in this Christian prayer before they go into battle. And so there's this one group that's just like, oh, I can't because, my team leader is an atheist, and, so it's pretty sweet that they do add that one, even if it's a small bit, that they do exist.
Can you find a link to that scene and put it in the
I'm
Facebook
sure
page?
Diddle can.
Okay, Alcoholico in the chat room. Can you please post
it's
a link to
wonderful.
that scene?
Yeah.
I would like to see it. I have tried to watch that show and I just can't.
No, I understand, but there's that one little part
I never heard of it. So.
that's awesome.
It's an HBO thing, right?
Yeah,
And
it was.
I tried watching it. And it was just bad acting. I only watched like 2 episodes, and I was
Yeah,
like,
it's a bunch of Marines.
But I would like to see that scene.
It already has a vested interest in that. So yeah.
All right, so let's move on. Robert Doggart is a 63-year-old ordained Christian minister and former candidate for Congress in Tennessee. He ran last year. He was arrested last month for planning a terrorist attack on the United States. Last week, Doggart took a plea deal and admitted his role in the plan, which involved an attack on a New York town called Islamburg, which is headquarters to the group Muslims of America.
Is Islamburg like some weird Muslim German town?
I know, right? I think they were just trying to be clever, and they were just failing at it.
Isn't that awful? Or I was like, that's not real.
An Islamic Germanic town that came together.
It's so awful.
It is awful, but it's not worthy of what he wanted to do to them. The FBI has been called repeatedly about Islamburg because right-wing religious, let's say Christian, fundamentalists have been inundating them with claims that Islamburg is a terrorist training center. The FBI got so many calls that eventually like, fine, you freaking psychos, we're going to go look at it. And they're like, no, they're just Muslims living in a community together.
To name their town weirdly.
Yeah. I mean, you have that
That's
crap
not
with...
the name of the town.
You have that crap with Christians over most of this country. You have Jews who are doing this. We have talked locally in Corpus Christi Atheists about creating an atheist compound. And if we had any money whatsoever, we would totally do that.
There's like this like abandoned stripe, so they shut down. Totally put a fence around that. Bam.
Pill boxes on all the corners, and we'll just keep out the government. Okay, so these are the same religious wackos who have been for the last month totally off their gourds because Obama is invading Texas with Operation Jade Helm. This is the kind of craziness that goes on with these people. So the FBI investigated, and they came back and said, yep, this is stupid crap thought up by stupid people to be consumed by other stupid people. There's nothing to this. So Robert Doggart is a American hero. He's like, he's the guy who is saving America. He leapt to the interwebs to go and find what he called, quote, expert gunners to go into this town with him. His plan was to invade this town, burn down a mosque, a school, a cafeteria, and several other buildings, and to kill anyone who tried to stop them.
Well, in his defense, he did not go there. He didn't go there.
Grab.
He did not go there to slaughter people, just to burn down their buildings.
Oh, really?
But he said if anyone tried,
But that's just defense at that point, right?
if anyone tried to stop them from burning down their town,
But he didn't go there with the express reason of gunning down people.
He's looking for gunners. What else do you need gunners for besides gunning down people?
To defend yourself against those that
Okay,
might stop
okay,
you
wait,
from burning
wait,
down
wait.
buildings.
So unfortunately for G.I. Joe and Reb's little theory, there was a federal wiretap involved, and he was talking to some FBI agents while he was setting this all up. So let me read some of his really choice quotes from these federal wiretaps. First, he gave this glorious, awe-inspiring speech where he said, "Our small group will soon be faced with the fight of our lives. We will offer those lives as collateral to prove our commitment to our God. We shall be warriors who will inflict horrible numbers of casualties, Reb, upon the enemies of our nation and world peace."
With that extra information, now it sounds a lot worse.
Yep.
Before,
You
it sounded
think?
like a relatively plausible, non-killing people plan.
Christianity, religion of peace, everybody.
Allah Akbar.
So, here's the crazy thing about this story. There are more. I'm going to give you more quotes from this guy in a little bit, but the absolute crazy thing is that this guy is a white Christian, and if we were talking about anyone who is not white and or Christian, we would be talking about
Terrorism.
terror charges. We would be talking about sending him to a supermax security prison.
Reopening Guantanamo.
Yep.
Or Guantanamo.
It's still
Well, it's still
It's
open.
still open.
Well, they like halfway like ship some people out, and I don't know.
It might have to open a new wing to put white people in it, though.
But would they really do that?
No, because he's white
No,
and a Christian.
So instead, he's been charged with communication of threats, interstate communication of threats. That is the charge.
That's the
And
same.
he pled guilty.
That's so cute,
That's
right?
the kind of law they wrote for, so like you couldn't threaten your senator
Right.
in the mail.
So this charge, which he just pled guilty to, carries a term of between zero and 5 years in prison, and a fine of up to $250. So from $0 to $250,000, and he's out of prison on a $30,000 bail charge.
He didn't kill anyone yet.
But
I mean-
still,
No, he was trying to.
no, but you're
Well, what's premeditated murder?
Whoa.
Like,
Because he took this FBI informant and showed that person the weapons he had collected, including an M4 with 500 rounds in it, which he said he was going to use.
that's a lot of rounds.
I don't know how many people live in Islamberg, but I'll bet you that's a good percentage that you take out with 500 rounds.
well, what do you generally get charged with whenever
so
you plan a
You go to hell, Reb. So
like a
he's-
terror attack? Right?
So he said, quote, to this FBI informant, "Islamberg is vulnerable from many approaches and must be utterly destroyed in order to get the attention of the American people." He showed them the weapons, and which included an M4 with 500 rounds of ammunition, light armor-piercing bullets, a pistol with 3 extra magazines, and a machete. And when he showed him the machete, he said, "If it gets down to the machete, we will cut them to pieces." Okay. And then he said, "I've got this battalion that I command, and they want to go up to a place and take action. There is all these people all over the country that want to start what we call a flashpoint. So sick and tired of this crap that the government is pulling that we go take a small military installation or we go burn down a Muslim church or something like that." This guy is a full-on terrorist, and he is plotting against Americans. And he's out on $30,000 bail. We have murderers, people who have actually killed people, who can't get out on $30,000 bail.
We have
Thirty-
people,
But he hasn't
30,000?
actually killed anyone yet.
we have people who rioted in Baltimore that couldn't get out
Yeah.
on $30,000 bail. You know, they were out past curfew.
That's
and
right. Didn't
can't
they
get
like
out.
double everyone's bells?
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
just to
And
keep
then
them there?
closed all the courts so
What,
nobody
now-
could be arraigned.
Now you got nothing to say, Reb? Huh? You got nothing to say?
Well, I'm just trying to find some, but there's nothing here. No, it's totally terrorism. And there's nothing you can say about it.
Awesome.
Anybody that thinks about it in any logical way, if you're going to take, someone that plans to blow up a plane and drive it into a building, and you're going to charge them with terrorism, you have to charge this guy with terrorism.
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
just all there is to it.
All right. Before we hit the last story of the night, I want to talk about some upcoming events. First, I wanted to mention a new t-shirt that you can pre-order and simultaneously help homeless people here in Texas. Chuck Harrison, who is the illustrator and co-author of the Belief book with David G. Unit McAfee, has done the graphic of a Ghostbusters kind of Holy Ghost t-shirt. 50% of the proceeds from sales of that shirt will go to helping the homeless here in Texas. So if you're interested in getting a cool shirt and helping homeless people, you can head over to bit.ly.com/homelessshirt. Yeah, I came up with that. Or, head over to the Atheist Airwaves Facebook page, and there's a link there. Also, June 15th, Chris Johnson, author of A Better Life and director of the movie A Better Life, will be in town at the UU Church on Holly. He will be screening his film and available for a Q&A. He's going to be going to the UU services on Sunday and probably coming to our meetup. We'll probably do a special Atheist Airwaves interview with him on that Sunday between the services and the meetup. So look for that around June 15th. If you would like to get access to our post shows, patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves.
And there's actually post shows.
Yeah, post shows that we're actually recording today.
Yeah. So there's one today, and there's ones that have been going up this month. It's been a couple of months since Ustream let us do that. So $1 show will get you access to that stuff, or totally free. Show up on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, and you can listen to all of the ridiculousness that is our post
Before
shows.
and after.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Show up at about 7, and we're saying all kinds of nonsense. So come check us out. We can do one more story. Do we want to talk about the Sikh, or do we want to talk about news? Well, it's all New Zealand.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyone have a preference?
What's the other New Zealand story?
The school.
No, I'd rather do the Sikh one because I don't really understand
Okay.
what was so big deal about it.
I kind of had the same response to that.
Maybe you can
and
explain to me why it's so big
I don't
deal.
know that I can explain it to you, but I can ask you why you think it might be a big deal. And I actually think it's kind of condescending, but let's talk about it. So 22-year-old Harman Singh is a Sikh. He lives in Auckland, New Zealand, and so of course he wears the turban thing.
And where's the knife too, right? That badass knife.
Yep. And you are not allowed as a Sikh to remove your turban in public. You're not allowed to have the public see your hair. I don't get why, but it's religion. They do weird things. This is really a story of when those silly things intersect with brutal reality and real life, and what you do when that happens. Singh was walking to his home when he heard screeching car tires, and he saw a child get hit by a car, and he ran over to offer assistance with other people, and the child was bleeding profusely, so he removed his turban to use it as a pillow and as a way to stop the bleeding on the child's head. He got a lot of attention locally in Auckland for doing that. In fact, some locals saw him being interviewed in his house and saw that he had no furniture, and they bought him all new furniture. In the scheme of things, I feel like it was a really minor gesture.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good human interest thing. Like, hey,
Yeah.
this guy, put his religion aside and said, hey, this kid needs my turban for, to I don't know, whatever, stop his wounds.
This kid's life is more important than my silly rules about hair being seen by other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's great.
I guess for me, it's like I never really think about Sikhs very much because they're not killing people or anything
Well,
that I know
not
of.
not in this country. They're mostly being killed in this
Yeah, they're
country.
being killed by other. Yeah,
Because people see
Think
the
they're
turban
the-
and they
yeah,
think
they're
they're
like,
Muslims.
Yeah,
right.
they just assume that it's something,
and actually, Sikhs are like super awesome. Like, there's a whole bunch of them in the military.
Mostly. Overseas, they do.
At least the ones in America, whatever, the good ones, or whatever bullshit. There's quite a few of them in the military, and they're just as good military men as anybody else.
Right. So,
And men and women.
in the scheme of things, like I said, it's like minor gesture. But if you compare it to the behavior of other religious people, especially religious people who are like, no, my child needs a blood transfusion, you can't give it to them, then it's like, okay, your stupid superstition has come up against reality, and you said, hey, reality needs to take precedence in this situation. And so I respect that. I don't respect, but I acknowledge that you have the right to believe any stupid nonsense you want to believe. And I 100% support the fact that you should be able to practice your religion. the way you want to. I think this is a better way to practice it. At the same time, I'm wondering why people are making such a big deal about it.
Yeah, that was my just like, why is this like a viral story that's all over Facebook? And it may be just because my circle of Facebook is just a huge reverberation zone, and so I just get the same story over and over again. But I mean, I've seen it elsewhere too, just on the news in general. So
I just, because if you look at the pictures of when the child is being cared for, and you can see him there, and his hair is visible, it's totally, it's like, wow, why did that happen? I can see your hair, dude. But there are a lot of people there giving care to this child, and I feel like it's a little condescending.
I do wonder if maybe it's more of like this guy that has nothing because he had no furniture, and so it's like, oh, look at this guy that went out of his way to help, and now he has nothing. Let's all donate to him. So I mean, I think maybe that's more of what's getting more the viral part of it, not so much the turban thing.
Yeah, that too. But I think at the same time, people are so just naive and stupid and just uneducated. So for the fact that that's happening, they're just like, oh, look, that happened. So I just think it's more of a stupidity thing for most people and just being uneducated.
But always the headline is like, oh, he took off his turban.
Yeah,
It's
that's where
why
like
is
that's
the
where they
headline?
start. Yeah, because most people don't know.
Would they have given the same attention to a Christian who had violated their no transfusions rule? I don't think so. And I think it's maybe a little bit because he's not a white Christian that he's getting so much attention.
Probably confuse him with a Muslim or something.
Yeah,
And
that-
be like,
that-
look, this Muslim actually helped
He's
somebody.
so
What? They do that?
Look, they're nice. You're totally right. I think that's what it
Yeah.
is. Just being uneducated and stupid
Yeah.
that they're mixing up cultures and religions that they don't know.
Yeah, and
that's
I think
what they're doing.
I think it's also kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, thank you for breaking your stupid rule because it's stupid because you're not Christian.
Aw.
And you know, you did the right thing.
Yeah, you should become a Christian now. You're almost there.
Yeah. Exactly. You
See?
seem
It's okay.
you seem like one of the good ones. So maybe you should just, go full Christian the whole thing. I don't know. From an atheist perspective, I feel like it's a nice story because it's a triumph of reality over fiction. But I don't understand the theist perspective because it's theists who are pushing this rhetoric, this story that this is somehow stopping the bleeding on a child is an extraordinary act. I mean, that seems like something you should just do.
Yeah, like
It's
you
like,
wouldn't
oh,
do
I,
it.
I have
yeah.
a piece of clothing just that I don't need right now. I can lend it to this child who's bleeding out.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, the more if I were this guy, I would be like really offended, like getting all the attention. Like somebody needed a bandage and I had a bunch of cloth. like, why are you, if you want to give me a couch, I'm going to take the couch, but why are you making such a big deal of this? Why do you think I'm incapable of doing good things for other people? You know, that's the most offensive to me.
All right, let's close it down for the week. I'm going to be gone next week, so it's going to be a total nightmare. I'm going to be in the chat room with you guys, harassing these guys. Those guys. And
Well, what's the
It's gonna
command for like /kick?
no, am I going to get kicked out of my own chat room? God damn it.
We're gonna need Tech Leslie on that.
But everyone needs to join the chat room next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central. Join me to say the most ridiculous things to these.
Because you know
idiots.
we ain't gonna have nothing to say, so you guys gonna have to fill in the gaps.
Just start reading the chat. Then he said, and then
It's
she
gonna
said.
be amazing. Thank you for listening to Atheist Airwaves, sponsored by Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. If you would like to compliment, complain, or make a suggestion, please write to us at god@atheistairwaves.com. Thanks to Tombstone to Deadman for our outro music. Please support our show at patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves and donate $1 per show, and you can get access to what is coming next. Honestly, I'd prefer you just come and say ridiculous things in our chat room.
Do it
but
live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Being a skeptic means so much more than being an atheist. And until you accept that, you won't relate to this. The cognitive dissonance that you experience is when there's things you claim to believe in but ain't living it. Most of you say you are the types to question everything until I hear the conspiracy theories that you echoing. And when I scrutinize the things you try to say are lies, expose your sources as suspect, I see your logic dies. Some still believe in pseudosciences, engage in special pleading when theists use the exact same reason. reasoning. I've even seen atheists use arguments from ignorance and seem pressed to tell me exactly just what the difference is. A skeptic without the ability to analyze is just as bad as it is, cause he'll probably accept the lie. Just as long as it verifies all his biases, applying it to his knowledge pool, and then he's diving in. So I'm not saying that some conspiracies do not exist. I'm just saying that a lot of them are some bullshit. So I'ma call a spade no matter who asserts it. Nobody's perfect, and just one lie, then it's all perverted. Bring down the curtains on that sad display. The only ways to question yourself and all the things you say. Start the day, and maybe we can rise above and be examples for others to emulate, and that's the way we win this battle. So this is where I'm making my stand, and now regardless who don't like it or how they get mad, see why the rest of y'all capitulate and go with the plan. I'll be beating on this wall until I'm breaking my hand. So listen while I state official policy. No matter how I'm threatened with hell, then never silence me. I know that you don't see this as imperative, but I refuse to lose and let the stupid frame the narrative.